water a second does it run down?
Course runs at 14 QMX, I think, so 14 cubic meters a second.
Wow.
The flow.
It's a lot of water.
Good afternoon. We are here at the Lee Valley Whitewater Centre, the Olympic venue for London 2012. I am a slalom canoeist, specifically a kayaker, and I will be hoping to compete at the London Games.
So Campbell, how long have you been doing the sport for?
Well, I started pretty young. Got in a kayak for the first time aged 8, but it wasn't until I was 11 that I joined the club and started going on a weekly basis. So I would say 11 really.
Okay.
And gradually started going more and more, learning the skills, a bit of physical training.
So Campbell, why canoe slalom?
It was just a sport I bumbled into as a kid. I did a few things, I was kind of pretty active. My passion up till 11 years old was playing rugby on a very small level. And slalom grabbed my attention, I think for a number of reasons. They're probably more suited personality-wise to an individual sport, looking back now, than a team sport. I like to take ownership of what I do. If something goes wrong, it's all my fault, but equally, if I win, it's all because of me, and I enjoyed that aspect.
So you're competing against yourself as much as competitors?
Absolutely, we're a time trial sport in that I go down the river by myself, one at a time, and the aim is, it's not really about beating other people, it's about trying to produce as best a performance as I can. I'll make my plans, analyse what I want to do and try and execute it as close as possible.
So you're the UK's #1, and how long have you held that title for?
I've generally been the British #1 since 2004.
Okay.
So quite a long time, really. Yeah.
Quite a time, about 8 years then.
Yeah.
And what are the rules of slalom?
Some aspects are simple to explain, others are a little bit more technical.
Yeah.
Basically, I'll be on the start line. Ahead of me will be about 250-300 metres of whitewater rapids, similar to what we can see behind us here. There will be a course of around about 20 gates, and when I say a gate, that's poles suspended above the water. I have to negotiate them in as fast a time as possible. Some of the other small rules coming in: if I hit a gate, that's a 2-second penalty added to my score. Okay. And if I miss one without paddling back to negotiate it again, that would be 50 seconds, which is so big that's you're out of contention by a long way with that.
And have you ever fell victim of that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it happens to the best in the world sometimes, especially because if you want to go fast and you're pushing the lines, then you're introducing more risk, and sometimes we're cutting a very fine line of ducking under the holes with our heads, and you can't pick these 50-second penalties up. So
you've been all over the world with your particular sport. Where have you been to? Where was the most exciting place for you?
It's a massively European dominated sport, so the majority of our major competitions are in Europe. I've also competed in Brazil a few times. Go to Australia every year in winter for some warm weather training.
And you're going there this week?
And yeah, I'm going on in 2 days time actually.
Wow.
So for 4 weeks of warmer weather. Although it's been a mild winter here in the UK, it's still so much better quality training.
Sure.
USA and China was an interesting one, being in Beijing, very different.
So could you elaborate a bit more on that? You've been in 2 previous Olympic Games, and how were they?
Well, I've been to Athens, where I finished second for the silver medal, and Beijing also, where I didn't have a good race and fell victim to missing one of those gates, and I actually paddled round for it again, but the 7 seconds it took me to do that put me out of contention. The first Athens really is kind of an outstanding experience for me.
So with the eyes on London 2012, how do you feel about your chances this year?
Well, training's going well at the moment.
Yeah.
Real big hurdle for us first is to get through the trials, which we have in mid-April here at the Olympic course. And we have it really tough in canoe slalom, and there's only one place per nation per event, and I only do one event. So I have to finish top at the trials. So I'm very much focused on that at the moment, and all going well, hopefully secure that and get to go to my 3rd Games, and my attention will be massively focused to trying to be on tip-top shape for August.
Good. And how many people are you up against for that one slot for the UK?
Well, there's a kind of pre-qualification process to even get into the trials, and there'll be about 10 to 12 depending on how many qualify. So I'm already in the trials.
How does it feel to represent your own country in your own country?
I've only experienced it once before. We had the European Championships in Nottingham in 2009, which was my home training venue at the time. And I didn't know what it was going to be like in advance because I'd never had a major competition at home. And I really enjoyed it. It was good to have a home crowd. I don't think I performed better because of it, but I enjoyed the fact that when you finished your performance, and if you did do well, there was more Union Jacks getting waved, there was more cheering, more applause, more appreciation for your performance, and I really enjoyed it, and I'd hope to enjoy it again.
Which sport do you get?
Well, we're one of the sports that benefit from lottery funding distributed through UK Sport, as with the vast majority of Olympic sports. And I've been in a fortunate position that I've been high enough on a world level to benefit from getting personal brand lottery funding, which enables, it gives me enough money to live off. You know, I'm not rich from this sport by any means, but it allowed me to pursue my passion, my dreams as a youngster were to be a slalom canoeist.
And do you feel there could be more support for yours?
I think looking around the people we compete against in the other sports, Britain are very well funded. And when I'm talking about funding, I'm talking about support. We get really good ratios with the coach. I work with a coach who looks after 3 athletes, so I get good coaching time, good support.
Coach used to be number one as well.
Yeah, my coach was a really excellent handler. Late 90s, he was the world number one in my event. Then I went on to be competing against him, and we were the kind of the head for the one spot for the Athens Games, and I ended up getting it. So he's a really good coach, really excellent technical coach.
So your competitor became your coach?
Yes, after quite a long break. It was only the last year or so I've been working with him.
Amazing. What's your training and diet like?
Training is generally twice a day, 6 days a week, and 1 rest day. Sometimes we do more, even up to 15 sessions a day, some big 3-session days in there. But usually that will be followed with a lighter week then of maybe 10 training sessions. Most of that is on the whitewater, being sport specific. There's not much better way to be better at canoe slalom than actually getting on the river and learning how to do the skills. 3 to 4 sessions a week weight training. And
What does that consist of?
well, I've done a lot of Olympic lifting. I have different aspects of power clean, jerk or snatch. Although I do have a bit of a niggling back, I have done for quite a long time, so I've actually stopped doing that this year just to minimise risk of injury. And I'm doing more classical upper body weight training, quite a lot of body weight stuff. So chin-ups with extra weight added on, actually do quite a lot of extra weight, or dips with extra weight added on.
So where does most of the power come from?
It is upper body, but it does transfer down through your glutes because you're connected to the boat. And it's not just the arms, probably mostly back. When I put a stroke in, I have to be rock solid all through each aspect, all through the body, down connecting to the boat. And when I pull on it, it's not just about pulling my arm, it's locking in and using as much of my body as I possibly can.
That's quite surprising. Most people have seen that your upper body and perhaps your torso would have took most of the brunt, but to actually mention your glutes, that's quite interesting.
Yeah, it's just, they are still part of that chain down into the boat, and although your legs don't move within it, you're applying a lot of force against those foot braces. You'll push really hard. It's like in the gym if you're on a cable rope with your feet against the brace and you got a big load on there, you're pushing hard on the foot brace without moving your legs, but it's still static force. So similar for our strokes.
So what advice would you give a novice in your particular sport?
Well, first thing to do is to learn to paddle forwards, backwards, the different techniques for turning the boat, and you'll generally do this on flat water, on a lake, somewhere calm, where you can do it without the distraction of currents pushing you around. Once you've mastered those kind of basic skills, then kind of the fun part is getting out there in nature on the white water and learning to cross to the other side of the river, negotiate different drops, different features of rapids. And it's only once you've got a decent understanding of that, really, you progress on to trying to do the slalom gates, because you have to be so accurate in your boat positioning to get around them. Although saying that, you can start doing slalom on flat water, and that's mostly what people do. You know, division structure, which is if you were already a good paddler, you'd probably 2 to 3 years. But I was a youngster, you know, kind of learning to paddle at the same time as actually going through. I mean, about 5 years it took me.
And what age did you achieve?
So I was 16 into the top division, which is probably a little bit later than some of the other guys. You know, you get a few people 14 that are in the top division.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that when we compete nationally, it's just ability based. So there is always the person who finishes top junior, but in Premier Division there's 14 up to, you know, whatever, all competing against each other just because they're the top 60 in the country.
So Campbell, you've travelled around the world. You've been at various destinations with the white water. Where has been your best destination and why?
I guess there's different reasons, I might say, different places. In terms of racing experience, there's a course in Germany which has a World Cup event almost every year, and is well known in the city. It's called Augsburg, it's about Bavaria, and it's where most of the German national team live and train. It's a really great crowd there. It's a fantastic place to race, really loud and vibrant, and it's one of my favourite venues technically to paddle on. But as an interesting country to enjoy outside of training, definitely Brazil. It's like samba 24 hours a day. They're just really happy, friendly people. Yeah,
and it's warm out there as well.
Yes, well, sometimes it's too hot.
And do you have a website?
I do, yes. www.campbellwalsh.com,
which should appear right now. And if anybody has any advice, are they okay to contact you through the website?
Yeah, they can do. I could probably point them in the right direction. If they want advice on the sport in general, they'd probably be better suited to contact the British Canoe Union. If they already are into slalom canoeing and, you know, looking for some more specific answers to questions, then yes, feel free to contact me.
And are you looking for more sponsorship privately?
Yes, I get very well supported by the lottery funding to do what I love doing, but money's kind of tight. I'm actually self-funding a trip to Australia this week, which is going to cost me about £2,500. I don't have a main headline personal sponsor at the moment. Quite well supported within the sport for equipment and my needs within the sport. I'm kind of disappointed with London 2012 on the horizon and all the big sponsorship programs from the headline sponsors for the Olympic Games. No one's picked up a slalom athlete. I don't mean necessarily myself, I mean the other really good medal potential winning athletes we have in the GB slalom team.
So you've been a previous Olympian representing the GB, and you've got silver, you've got a proven track record, and yet you still can't get that true support.
It's something that I possibly don't work hard enough on myself. I don't go out there knocking on doors and sending letters to people. I'm kind of focused on just trying to do my job and recover. And it would be nice if something came along, really, and kind of appreciate myself and my friends within the sport for the hard work we do put in, because we do put a lot of work into it. And it'd be nice to be rewarded and supported, and, you know, it might make a difference and, you know, turn silver to gold or fourth into bronze.
So if there are any private sponsors out there who would like to support the UK's #1 slalom canoeist, please go to Campbell's website, which is
campbellwalsh.com.